2 weeks ago today, right around this time of day actually, I lost my job. I was fired, let go without cause, but it doesn't really matter if it's without cause, right? You're let go. I don't know if anyone else has recently experienced this like me. I'm sure there's many. I'm 56. Anybody between 45 and 65, interested to know what your thoughts are, what your experiences are, if you've recently lost your job for cause, without cause. There's no judgment over here. Probably not a video for people who are happily employed and just sticking it out till their golden years. It's probably not for you. If you have a bit of an independent streak and you're working to figure it out, maybe have an entrepreneurial spirit as I do. But we're working, and now you're in a position like me. This is a video for you. So 2 weeks ago, right around this time of the day, I lost my job without cause, and I'm just gonna give an update as to how I feel about it, where I'm at now, and what I plan to do going forward and what I have done. So the first thing, I'll talk about what I didn't do as well. The first thing I didn't do was react. I had a remote online meeting where you go onto the screen and there's somebody there who you don't know. It was an HR person. And then my former manager, she shows up about 30 seconds later and gives about a 15-second spiel and says something to the effect of, "Oh, hi, Jeff, like you're no longer needed here. Your employment is done today." And so on the screen will go through all the details with you and blah, blah, blah. Fine. I didn't say a word. And I'm really glad I didn't. And it didn't last long. That was all done, that part. The next thing I did next morning is I contacted a labor lawyer. A labor lawyer who I've used before about 7 or 8 years ago, when this almost exact situation affected me for the first time in my life at, I think I was around 48. I contacted the lawyer and kind of got the ball rolling with, can you please set up a consultation and we'll review the severance pay, the set termination letter, etc. That was the second thing that I did. And I'm really glad I did, because fast forward 2 weeks, and I'll post this after everything's signed off, but we've been able to come to an agreement in principle anyway, not currently signed off, but should be this week, if not next. I highly recommend seeing a labor lawyer, as I did, because what happens with these jobs is that they'll just send you packing, screw you off like without a moment's notice. And if you've been there 5+ years like I had, they'll often, at least where I live, by law have to offer you a severance package as a termination package, but they have to offer you something. Some of it's determined by law where I live. The language in said letter will often have a deadline, and the deadline is kind of pressuring you, right, to sign it and send it back to them and wrap it up, put a bow on it, and see you later. Breathing space is really important when you're figuring out alternatives and future plans, especially at age 56. The weird thing that I felt right at the beginning when it happened, I wouldn't even say relief, although relief may have been part of it, was like this huge sense of freedom and liberty. And at first I was trying to figure out, well, why do I feel like that? That seems a bit delusional and strange. Like, shouldn't somebody be panicking in a situation like this? Please let me know in the comments if you've experienced this recently, if you're going through the same thing, or if you have a gut feeling inside. I know there's a lot of talk right now about AI, job losses and stuff like that, so that may have affected you. Mine wasn't specifically about AI related. If anything, I was one of the most intense users of AI at my work, which kind of helped me level up the last year. So I'm definitely not anti-AI, but I can understand the threat to jobs for sure. especially if your role is, task oriented and execution oriented, something that could be automated, then yeah, that's definitely a risk. So I felt this huge sense of freedom. And I think it has to do with age. I think it has to do with experience. I think it has to do with resilience. Not to brag or anything like that. It's just I've had to deal with these really difficult situations before. And quite frankly, it all works out in the end. It works out okay. I can think of multiple times when I've had to figure it out and move forward, and often been much happier as a result. And I'd have to say 2 weeks in, feel pretty much very similar to how I reacted right when it occurred. And that may have been just experience. It may have been having gone through it before, but also it has to do with just the fact that I kept my cool. I didn't react. First time this happened to me in 2018, the tail end of 2018, it was dirty and wasn't done in good faith, and it left a bad taste in my mouth, but it certainly prepared me for this situation now. And if you think that you can't do this in your 50s, yes, you can. If I can do it, you can do it. And there's a lot of decisions I made in my life that were really good, some that I regret, financial and whatever, as that's what happens when you're 56.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what happens at this age. You learn how to deal with stuff and get knocked down, stand right back up, and go at it again. I think that's something that my generation, not everyone, I almost feel like it was one of the last generations that's willing to help each other out, because we kind of grew up in that. We had a streak of independence when we were kids. When you go outside and you'd be gone for 12 hours and nobody know where you were. You come home with scraped knees and bloody noses and scraped elbows from wiping out off your bike, and everything was fine in the long run. So that's my recap of my 2-week update of being fired from my job without cause 2 weeks ago today, and I still feel great. I feel like I've been able to take a deep breath. I feel really positive about the future, taking a real long view perspective of the future. Really interested to know if others have gone through something similar, possibly this summer or maybe today or yesterday. If I can offer any kind of peace of mind to you, is that there are people out there who have the same experience, can help you get through this. So yeah, please let me know how you're doing in any kind of similar situation, and I'll share another update really soon, and more exciting updates about some of the things I'm working on.